Okay, this is the second part of this video because it was cut in the middle. And we're continuing on. The first thing you need to know is that yes, people do demonstrate for the right causes. Yes, people do care about the children. Whether you are a child listening to this, or survivor, or targeted individual, or whistleblower, or just a person who thought, oh, I give up on humanity, nobody really cares, nobody really sees, then I want to turn this light on. So you know you're not alone with this, and you know that people can. I want you to also know that yes, people do go out on the street, people risk the neck, people get killed in demonstrations for this, and it's important to understand yes what we're up against and to get the intricacies around this, because while this bisextile, okay, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto is going to be attempted to be used and tapped into in order to control the opposition, control the rebellion, play all kinds of power games. Okay, it's also a time where the rebels, those who expose the cults, for those who come out of addiction, okay, can form connections with the myriad of reality, okay, whether it's channeling, whether it's the fabric of reality, the knowledge of astrology, the awareness of what is science, and the importance of the chaotic way of learning with science, not just the orderly one. This is the Saturn of Aquarius. What is medicine? Or what isn't? People begin to see that and they begin to connect. Okay? And I want you to also have this in your heart. Podcasts like Imagination Podcast. Every day, new light shed. Okay? Testimonies of the people. Anneke Lucas interviewing with people that's been through this. Ronald Bernard coming out of the banking system. Okay? We begin to observe and we begin to look back, and this info, yes, is still on. And if they take it from one place, they will be in another place. What's in YouTube? Yes, there was no YouTube in 73. There was no YouTube in 1996. In the 60s, there was no YouTube. But these things go back on YouTube. Go back. Okay? The timeless. And the attempt to even if this channel, let's say this channel gets wiped out for this channel, okay, for all the sites that mirror this channel, so they can be hacked, all the ones that tapped into this, okay, CIA has it, Mossad for sure has it, Shabak definitely has it, okay, it's in the cloud of the cloud, what is in the cloud, okay, when people can hack these systems. And they would do it even what was about how Julian Assange began. It was a teenager hacking, let's say, hacked the Pentagon, hacked this, hacked that. It was very, very simple. Whereas now it's going to be more complicated. It's not, because they're going to put it on a new web. This is why I haven't put my all full into another social media platform, because all of it is going to change. And things with the Neptune, they're gonna pop from centuries ago. But the Inquisition, we thought we got rid of the Inquisition. Why all these Jewish wealth families, what they're doing, the accountants, the lending, the bonds, they couldn't get rich doing otherwise, because for Jew, they can do this, Christian cannot, Muslim cannot. A Muslim Christian can threaten the Jew to do this or else. And so they're religiously tolerant, but only if you do this, and you cannot really convert, okay? But sometimes people say, oh, you can convert. Well, no, because they would torture you because you're not from the bloodline. Okay, and then you say, oh, Jews become like this too, or Jews were like this, and then they didn't change that. Well, no, they just held the Jews in a position where you either do this or Inquisition. So you can only get wealthy by bonds, and then they work with bloodlines. Okay, but they got the dividends for what's the most recent religion is Islam. Before that is Christianity. So where there is Christianity, yes, then talk about yes, Inquisition, and then the Christians themselves, they bring the Islam. They say, oh, we're better than Islam. Now let's by the force of this Islam, let's create bigger Christianity so we can fight Sharia law. But you're the same as Sharia law. Mormons, absolute the same. Different colors, same behavior. Okay? And so, for when you get that, then you understand it's not even a religious war, and they try to create union of religion, world religion, on the basis of being the biggest drug cartel, the biggest traffickers of children, of humans, okay? Of we the people, I want you to understand that there are many for such protests, and there are many people who has such desire to cooperate with you, to align with you, to coalition with you, for to expose these things, and for to do the real protests, not the government protests where they put people, oh come, let's protest, that protest, then they shoot at you, and then they say, oh, but without protest, the Taliban regime was without protest, but with a lot of, with protest and with a lot of funding from the Inquisition, basically, because when you say United States, or you say Israel, sole leaders, Israel of United States, of eighth house, not, it is not the self, it is of when you are merging with partner, so much so that you become blended energy. So, but basically they're blended with energy of something else. For that would be Cancer and Taurus. So wealth families, land upon land, upon the bodies of water, yes, and that would be around fertility. Okay, so the control is to try to control fertility. For every country, the 12th house is hidden enemies, and this is house of hospitals and jails, and this is again shown where you treat your sick people, your psychological people who went through mental crisis. When you treat them like Finland treated them with housing first, okay, and so on. But then it did not, the WHO infiltrated that. And they lost the sovereignty, okay? But when you treat the people in the 12th house, okay, then they will not become enemies, okay, when you see them. Yeah, I guess it's easier said than done, but it's understanding that it's how we treat the crazy people, how we treat the people that we put behind bars, Belmarsh again, okay? Because eventually it is the whistleblowers who will be behind bars, and eventually, it is the whistleblowers who, or people who disobey legal order in particular, would be in the how they treat the crazies, how they would treat them. Okay, but these powers shift, and so you always want to think of to treat well the people of the 12th house, because this is yes, is backfiring. And so if you want to be released of both this type of a Sharia law or this type of inquisition, the first step is to know first of all that this exists, still, and there were all roundabout ways to fuck over freedom basically, and to know that many people that coalition with you, and that whatever they try to do to oppress humanity, we always come back with even more human rights, even more desire to be free, and what comes with desire, it comes manifestation, even more free world, essentially. because this is how it is. It is just one of the years in which those things get, come out to the air. Saturday is a good day to mention Deneb Algedi. For Uranus is on algol, so let's do it both Deneb Algedi and algol. And Deneb Algedi and algol have a square relation between them. Okay, Deneb Algedi is the marginalized. And for what the marginalized, let's say if you're a marginalized man, usually you feel like you cannot get women. And so you feel that it is equal distribution to be harmful to women. But what do the women feel? And this is for algol. For the women feel that their will and consent is not respected, so they're afraid of men. And then the less accessibility you have to resources, the more you could be violent for her if she wants to live. Okay, and she wants you to have resources and she wants her to have resources. This is why algol is a wealth talisman. Okay, if you respect for sexual energy, for psychic energy and validate, then and so you have to understand that both there is a friction. Okay, there's a square relation between these fixed stars, where Deneb Algedi is about wealth redistribution. Okay, and algol is about will and consent. I say this shouldn't be a problem. It's not necessarily a problem, except for when people don't have resources. Usually, they're also not having healthy relations. Okay, so they feel marginalized in the level of love, relations, sexuality, and that comes in friction. Okay, with will and consent. Because they feel like, oh, because I don't have this, no one will look at me, and they would only look at people who have this. But in fact, they are running away from both of this and both of that, and wanting you to have wealth, but you have to respect will and consent. So what the interference point is to understand that we're all entitled to have resources, and to have better resources distribution, and from this point, yes, to practice will and consent, for the understanding that yes, it's necessary to have your own individual rights. This is Aries that's in between them, to accommodate for the community, and to be able to have good sex and good relations and fertility. And then children, this is Gemini. So this is good to bring both of these. Okay, for Deneb Algedi is protector, but it's also good for wealth redistribution. Yes, and becoming aware. Okay, and sharing assets, and algol, very very important. Is to release from sexual oppression. Okay, and so for Uranus on algol, is going to bring a lot of the themes of algol. We're so fortunate it's not happening with eclipse right now. Is triggering maybe eclipse point, it's not happening with eclipse, triggering the algol eclipse. So we both become aware of the fact that yes, people get violent when they don't have housing, when they don't have resources, and so on. And understanding that if you're violent to someone, then they will have difficulty to have wealth. And if they would have difficulty to have wealth, they would do return to sender of this sexual oppressive energy. And now you're back at point zero, whereas for this person, for the algol archetype, can be very supportive for you to have resources, to have assets, as long as you respect their psychic, physical, sexual boundaries. And so wealth can be achieved with algol, and well redistributed with Deneb Algedi. And so this is very important if people try to do like a dark magic I saw today another YouTuber that she posted a video about Beyonce accused of extreme witchcraft, and one of accusation of the witchcraft, and for the YouTuber herself, she was herself doubting this, so she was not sure this true, this not true. Was a while ago. Then her video got deleted from YouTube. So you're like, okay, if this was not true, they wouldn't mess with it. So nobody would care. And this is so okay. When people say things, or people say this, or people say that, then you know it's not true. Yes, you don't mess with this so much. It's when people have reaction. Okay, same with the Imagination podcast. It's called the Imagination podcast because these things are so they use invisible frequencies, and so people are thought to be crazy when they experience this, and when they talk about this, they are seen as crazy. So it's called the Imagination podcast. But again, I said, if people think this is just weird, so they don't have strong reaction. Yes, I can say for me, these things are the 12th house, right? So for me, when I used to watch the X-Files, I like the standalones episode. Not the mythology. I like the standalone. I had no strong reaction. I liked the standalones episodes. Then I learned that the mythology was a documentary, and I didn't know that. Okay, so for me. It was so. It's not that I had a big reaction to this, to that. I was like, oh, okay, fine. But when people start to have a reaction, it's either that happened to them, and they need to deal with that, just as was with me too, or that they are perpetrators. So people don't believe you. They either don't know, or they happen to them, and they don't understand of what you're talking about, because they repress, they this, they that, or the perpetrators. Very simple. People don't believe you, not because they don't believe you, but they don't want you to tell the truth. Okay? And so, and you know what helps the most for people to say have psychosis, they're imagining? Well, housing first and open dialogue, which basically means that they are listened to and believed. And then they talk with the voice, and then by a supportive environment, then the intruding thoughts and voices and feelings become channeling and supporting. Heard it from people themselves, even not in Finland, that they were saying, I am psychotic, I take pills, I take this. And then they went to some, retreat with people, and it was very nice environment for them. They say, I notice that when I'm in a nice environment, those voices, they become supportive. Oh. So do you have psychosis? Or are you just channeling for the energies of the environment? But this is very protruding for these people. Okay? And so back to the Beyonce case, one of the accusations for extreme witchcraft and was that she did witchcraft to kill a cat. And another one, she would do shape-shifting like to birds and stuff like this. Until I didn't see this happening in life, I was like, remember I bought the Moldavite when I was with they don't know which energy, and it carried the sign of shape-shifting. So to teach me that there is such things as shape-shifting. For yes, and apparently very likely either him or somebody that used his energy, because he was also before Kate, so he went very likely through abuse. So either him or somebody who used him tried to do these shape-shifting things. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, it looks like people got zombied. But yes, this is also stuff, yes, that happens. You set boundaries to these shapeshifters. And you get the fuck out of there and then you return to sender. That's what's up. So this is why return to sender, known or unknown. That's really getting at the heart of truth in there. And what else was she accused of? It was this, spells of sexual molestation. This is important because right now Uranus is on algol, and the algol is bodies upon bodies, okay? Usually because children, women, and queers are most vulnerable, then when they are mistreated, it is portrayal of invasion. This is why the tribes, African tribes, Inuit tribes, American tribes, had many genders, okay? And the people of many genders, they were shamans and healers. Why? Because these people, they know first if there is invasion. They see for all the energies, for the male energy, female energy, women energy, men energy, in between energies. They see all of these energies, okay? And they connect it with the ecosystem. So they can tell you if something going on in Japan, a person, Native American shaman, they can tell you, oh, the land is in Japan, it cannot contain anymore. They can tell you this. And so, for they know that, okay? But also, for these people, when they are the healers, okay, so they're treating people correct, this is protection from invasion, because these are the marginalized of the marginalized. They're in contact with that which is marginalized, with that is excluded. They get a special place in society. Okay, this is not stupid, because it's protecting for the entire tribe. But if the tribe is misusing daughters, incest, or this or that, and it's difficult for them to understand, it's not correct, it's not courteous sex, it's not like you cook for somebody. Yes, it's different. The sexual energy is different. It requires for deeper sovereignty and maybe even a change in the sexual energy. But we know that Inuit society still have highest suicide rates, and are very much at risk, whether for invasion or for trying to purchase the land. And it's not them out there, the Inuit. We are all descendants of the Inuit. So to raise awareness to this from within our tribes and within our cultures, each to our culture. Okay, I'm half Israeli, half Dutch, have ancestors in North Africa, Libya and Algeria. Okay, I attend to what happened with Gaddafi. I attend to what happens in Netherlands. I attend to what happens in Israel and Palestine, which is the land that we share. So this is for our lineages of when we have our sadness stories. This is what's protection from invasion. And for sexual molestation spells, which is, yes, it's a woman doing on another woman. Maybe she was forced to do that. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not saying Beyonce did it because she wanted. I watched a side of Jaguar Right. There's a channeler, Sloan, yes, she's channeled Jay-Z and Beyonce before everything popped up again. And she said they're not in their bodies. And this is due to abuse people, okay? So they abuse people. So I am, for example, in journey for many, many years to stay in my body. When you hear my accent changes and so on, is still a journey to stay in my body. Okay, so when that is something that happens, so imagine people who are at this level of visibility, but they are very controlled, and it's not impossible that through them was done such thing, because this woman, I don't know if she was dancer or at the team of Beyonce. So I'm not accusing Beyonce or not accusing Jay-Z even, because I understand that there's a structure that puts things in such way for tending back to sender to known or unknown. And so those things for witchcraft, for sexual molestation, first of all, they happened before 7th of October. I knew a person who would do such witchcraft, not just sexual molestation, but just witchcraft. He's homeless now. And he was hired actually by the military for Israel to do such, to kidnap people and do witchcraft. And then they threatened that they would kidnap his daughter, I think. And so he left the family and lives outside because he is afraid for his life. He cannot get housing because it's not safe for him. And he says, surely that's his karma. He did witchcraft, he did this, he did that. Well, he was hired by army to do this. That was his job. I don't know the circumstances. But what I'm saying is that there are people that are hired to do that, and then they tell you it doesn't exist, it doesn't this, it doesn't that, or you cannot give tips from Okay, when you do cold cases, you cannot give tips from psychics, from this, from that, because they don't want you to see what's actually going on. It's not the people, not the fans, not the... No, it's from way up. Okay, and so that the people who tend to cold cases, they cannot do this, although the people who tend to that, they are psychic themselves. Okay, they're really, they feel it on their body sometimes. Yes, I had a good friend. Before earthquake was happening in the earth, they had Uranus in Capricorn. They would feel energy, feel energy, feel energy. When the earthquake would occur, they would feel release of energy from the body. So think this with murder cases is more like the sensitivity of people who tend to that sometimes. So they're psychic. And it's not that they don't want, okay, they see things and they cannot always say. And as per like sexual molestation and stuff, this is already aggravating for algol. And you don't want to aggravate algol. Okay? And again, I'm not saying any name, not putting any name to the behavior, but just for these things to be returned to sender. Yes, I have had such things done on me, whether by my therapist or through my therapist or by the person in academia or through the person in academia, where the people shape-shifted. It was not even coming from them or were targeted. I have no idea. I just send it back to the true sender, will or for the true sender. Okay, so for person that is physical or whomever. And then it's very important to understand people that don't know this, they don't have strong reaction for this. People that think, oh, she imagines, they already have reaction to this. Either this happened to them and they're in the process, in denial and stuff, or they are perpetrators. Only people who say this is imagination, either happens to them, or perpetrators. For people, usually they would not have reaction to this. So say, okay, I don't know. People never happen to them. So I don't know, never happened to me. I'm sorry. It's like, it's like, I'm sorry this happened to you. For never, lucky, I guess this never happened to me. So that's it. And this is what I would say before when people talk about like psychosis or this or that. Yes, before, first of all, I didn't understand for what connection of certain things that I experienced, but also I was like, yeah, well, I don't know, this happens, I have no idea. And then it's only when I encountered a psychic attack where I was like, well, is this imagination, or is this, what if it's imagination? Why this imagination? And this was where my breakthrough started. But I saw crazy people around me. Okay, you were in the crazy people place, crazy people around me. Speaking to one person, they had tried to burn their own tattoo, and they said dead mother said that they need to get rid of this tattoo. I said, okay, she was religious. I said, okay, but you tell her when you will work, will have a job, you will collect money, then you will do it safely, because your mother, she doesn't want to hurt you. She maybe for religion you say not to have this tattoo, but it's possible to do surgery. He said, you are like a doctor. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was not like a doctor, speaking to him as a common person. And I tell him, you want to tell me no doctor told you that? He was shocked. Now, of course, if you burn a tattoo from the material, the chemistry, okay, it infiltrates the blood, now you can have imagination, okay? Hallucination. But for the problem was just challenge with dead relatives. So you need to communicate, but people don't understand that this happens. And so I was like, oh, that's weird. Or some people say, well, they put poison in my food. And then I understood they're very sensitive to frequency. And first of all, it can be the case they put poison in the food. For the poison in the food, absolutely. Today, I believe everything. But also, we know our food is processed. And also for the person holding the food, they have to have a certain energy. If a person feeling bad, then it's like their energy poisoning the food. A person who is sensitive, who went through extreme abuse and is sensitive for these frequencies, is so permeable, then they would see it immediately. Even when I was angry, then he said, the feminists accused me of things I didn't do, and I was not accusing him. But he said, you're sending knives towards me. I said, no. Oh, okay, for what do you feel? So first of all, I got away because I was just dealing with a certain case and I was getting mad at perpetrators, but it was not at him. And he felt this, yes, in this way. And I'm like, oh, he's not imagining, he's feeling my anger. He just doesn't understand to whom it is directed and where it's coming from because he's not to do with that. Okay, and if that was not enough, then he had the case where a woman accused him of something. So I was wondering, like, was he guilty, was he not? So he got it immediately. You cannot lie to people. Okay, they read energy. You have to be authentic. The day I was wondering whether he did that, whether he didn't do that, and then I was angry at something else. Then he immediately, like, you're sending knife to me because he read the energy. Okay, this is not imagination. This is clear-sighted reality, so much so that people are not sensitive to the frequency of how clear-sighted it is. So important when it comes to algol, Uranus on algol, all these eurekas, or people molesting people through like witchcraft or stuff like that, is that the back to sender is to the actual sender, known or unknown. Okay, known or unknown. So this is going to be so useful in eliminating a lot of conflicts, and for each of us to regain our sovereignty. Give you to the back to sender. So whether it is the imagining of blue light, of whatever, and then the setting intentions, okay, your words, magic, okay, so backfires, return to sender, getting on soil, and also to know that if you didn't manage to, okay, if you felt psychic attack, you're not to blame for it. You're not the guilty person in this situation, or that you didn't manage to protect yourself from so and so. It's not your fault. Okay, not your fault that this happened to you, and this is very important. It's both the point of interference, but it's not about take responsibility. It's like, no, you're just like, hey, there's a point of interference you can have here, and you're not to blame that you've been attacked, or you're not to blame for all this havoc going on in the world. And this is important because when we talk about these things, and it's not for nothing that I waited some years to talk about what happened to me, because I needed to protect my energy. And still, okay, just yesterday was energy trying to knock me, to make me fall twice. It happened to me, and yesterday was the second time. People don't like it that I stand strong, that I and whatever was, as I don't even know where from, and I don't care. I send it back to sender, known or unknown, or trying to make me sick or dependent or this or that. No, it's going back to sender, known or unknown. Trying to mess with my housing, with my money, with my this is going back to sender, known or unknown. Okay, and this is Uranus on algol. This is Uranus algol. Algol is the planet where, yes, for the quote Lada when she said it's bodies upon bodies. Okay? Respect women from within the culture, from within the tribe. Respect children's rights from within the culture, from within the tribe. Believe people when they say, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that. That happened, that invisible attack, okay? What do you think? 7th of October, I did not suffer attacks. I did not sleep for a week. Went through all of these things. Of course I did. When I was making the videos and calling on algol, calling on porcelain, calling on this, calling on that. Yes, so already after that. Of course I did. But I'm going to blame Hamas for this? I don't know them. My government, I don't know them. Well, back to sender, known or unknown. And the whistleblower, because then informations come to you. Real informations. First, the Ronald Bernard talking about the banking system. First, the video about John D. Rockefeller. Of all videos of Rockefeller, I ran into a video about Rockefeller where saying he has to cut dividends to the church. Like, this makes sense, because if he's Jewish, he has to do this. And then for lineage of Jews and Christianity, was saying that the Jews were basically doing the accountants for the Christianity, because you cannot do deal with debt, lend money, okay? Also in Islam, you're not allowed to invest with interest, but you have to hide your assets with the Jews. And then they said that the wealth belongs to the Jews. It doesn't belong to the Jews. How did Jaguar write? I don't remember who was she pointing out that was putting money in Blue Ivy's account, not Jay-Z or Beyonce, putting money in Blue Ivy's account to hide assets, okay? That's what was done to the Jews. And now they're either tortured or that they do the monkey business. It's like, oh, Jewish are very rich, Jewish are very that, Jewish are, yes. And then there is inner stigma for people thinking that Jews, they are lineage of people that are great maneuvers around money. Bullshit. They're doing the black job of, for basically the black people even, but also the white people, okay? They're doing the black job. And then it's offshore. And then they can be, what is this rise of anti-Semitism? Oh, it's very simple. Okay? Why is it known the Jews were persecuted, but people talk about Ireland a little bit less, talk about other tribes a little bit less? Why don't people talk about the Inuit? Inuit are way more persecuted than the Jews, way older. Why don't they talk about the Inuit? Why do they talk about the Jews for the persecuted? Because they want to scare the Jews. But if you go around, what happened 7th of October, Christian people put a mezuzah, which is something Jews put on the door, with a fish. And then some Jews from academia, from Harvard, I don't know, said this is cultural appropriation to put the mezuzah. They did that so that if somebody wants to locate where Jews are living, they won't be able to locate. So they put the mezuzah, yes, and they added the fish because they're Christians. It's not cultural appropriation. Yes? But who pays this opinion? Well, people, if they don't say this opinion, they don't get the grant. They don't get the grant in academia, back to the streets. Nobody is going to hire you. Not for a job. Not for a job. So, to be aware of these things is also to be aware of the many people that are aware of these things. Of the many places where people are not all against. It's not like the world is stacked against you, okay? Whether you're Palestinian or Israeli right now, or Ukrainian or Russian, people want to show you the whole world is against you. The whole world thinks you're evil, and they show you, okay? They show you the protests, they show you the genuinely people bullying people in the train. Okay, they show you this, but they don't show you is the people. And then, of course, the people of, the public opinion of whether you go and you believe that, or whether you're exposed to something that changes your mind, which is why these videos are on, for us to tend to the real drama that's going on, and that's the children, and that's the corruption, and that's the human trafficking. And so we are less swayed by the game of flags, and there's games of sport right now, there's sport games, and those things are dramatic, okay, they're drama. But a while ago, the people brought back, they give them circus, and I don't know what is a feast or something like that, and they will not rebel, okay? You think, well, where is the where is the circus and where is the affordable food? Well, you are the circus, so that some people will not rebel. But if we play in and amongst each other, then we are the circus. If we connect the dots and we say everywhere around we need children to be okay, everywhere around we need well-being, we need sexual boundaries to be respected, everywhere. Doesn't matter if the woman is a prostitute, a whore, a cheat, a this, a that, or you still need her sexual boundaries to be respected. Okay? Now you're immune to the many recruiters that try to put you in the cult. And you are expendable. For when the cult, you are expendable. You have to become presenter. Listen to what Jaguar Wright talks about black music industry and understand, change the colors is the same. Change the profession, politician is the same. Business person, the same. Presenter. Okay, why did I not pursue journalism? For when I was in high school, I got the honor to interview, that was Mr. Abram Burg, and he came, and then I realized what's the job of the interviewer. Okay, for the journalist, it's okay that people will give questions, and I ask the question, but then they would give on purpose questions that are humiliating, degrading, and then I'm the presenter, so I'm not asking this question. And so they give me, they draw from this, from that. Now they're no longer hidden. To bring me the note. And Avram Burg's sisters, I said, no, I don't ask this question. Is humiliating, is degrading, is yellow? I don't ask this question. I ask real questions that this person, I respect him. Nobody gave me to interview any person later. Okay? Nobody. And I understood this very deeply, because if I want to be a presenter, I have to go with the yellow. Now, again, for some things, it's like, oh, it's nice, it's this, it's that, and they know that, and you know that. But for some things, it's like, no, I'm not going to degrade this, and I'm not going to take away from the real politics or from the real question. It's my job as journalist, okay, to respect the person, but also to ask the real question. If they would ask a real question about the real thing, yes. But if they come with, like, yellow stuff that's not related, yes, if that was, God forbid, sexual assault or something, somebody's rights, well, then this is not yellow. But they try to make it look like it's yellow. Yes, but what they didn't understand, they're messing with a journalist. That the fact that I did not go and get these jobs doesn't mean that I don't know to do the job. That I don't work in the job doesn't mean that I don't know to do the job. I'm going to say it again, that I am not currently employed in the job or self-employed in the job, it doesn't mean that I don't know to do the job. And that's a hell of a lot of jobs. Because every time I would learn a new job, because I think maybe there is no corruption. So imagine how many skills I have. But what happens for my body if there's corruption? I am genuinely physically unable to work. This is how I got to learn astrology, holistic healing, essential oils, all that jazz. Uranus algol is also the planet of astrology, so we're going to have a lot of downloads as per algol, both as well talisman, both as protective talisman. If people try to use algol to cast the magics of, like, rape and stuff like that, like what I've seen of 7th of October from people that, first of all, you think I don't see that. At first I say, my mind says, okay, maybe they're commemorating the rape of 7th of October, even though, yes, they can be pro-Palestinian and commemorate the murders and the rapes, which is the logical thing to do. But no, they were manifesting for these things. For using alcohol, what can I say? I think it's more humane. I'm pro death with dignity, is what I have to say, and I said this already during the war. I'm pro death with dignity. I think that the crossing over and the birthing process have to be ushered into a better place. I'm not of the people who believe that somebody comes to you and you say, you did that and that in your life. Puff, puff, puff. So I think that actually what the most punishment is basically if you're surrounded with love and you understand how stupid it was to hurt people like that when you would not the access to being loved or to be surrounded with love and the forgiveness to the self and others that comes from that I do believe. And so I just think that that's just that's the pain. Okay, for that's where you see it like, oh, I didn't really have to hurt this person. Oh, they were not really. Oh, that's a grief, and you get love buffer to support you through this grief, but it's just like, oh, those are the places where I didn't know I have access to love, or that can be done, that can be achieved. And so for them, when I say they're making for themselves a bad experience for this experience, is not because they would be killed with torture. No, I'm pro death with dignity, but because when they go up, they say, "Oh my God, I did that." Like, why did I want to free Palestine so that women will not be raped by occupiers? Okay, for what happened before 1948 or 1930s or the Zionists? Women were raped by locals. Why did I not tend to that? Oh shit. And let's say I wanted to free. It's like, why did I not made sure that I'm going to enforce the sexual boundaries protection from these things, so that the person who does that, who doesn't even think to do it again, why rape other women? Like, why? It's no sense. And then you go back, you go up, and then you meet your life, and then it's like, oh my God, I did. That was very stupid. And you're going to really need a lot of love buffer to hold on to this. Which I do believe you have. It's not about, somebody coming to hit you and say, you did this, you did that, you're a bad person. It's just like you're going to see how stupid that was and how much pain that caused people unnecessarily, and how useless that was in terms of actually freeing your people. That's what is. And I think for algol, right now Uranus on algol is going to expose a lot of that type of use of algol, and bring us a lot of the ideas, and we understand that when people do these things or this type of magic, they do it because they are helpless. Okay, and so but still, this is where after 7th of October, after I saw this is safe and I do return to sender, known or unknown, for not to hold children, for not to do all this, inflict this harm, for that always say return to sender, say either the person repents or they, yes, and if I'm strong enough at that point, I say, okay, I remember death with dignity. But this is Uranus algol. Uranus algol is the potential is for all the corruption, for places where they have soul and algol, or countries like Israel, to be vomited, okay, exposed. This what should be. And with Uranus, eventually this what will be, because Uranus is a planet that where you try to control it, it backfires. Okay, so Uranus algol is going to be liberating for a lot of people that work with algol. Very, very liberating. Okay, when I remind again the same thing I said from 2017. In the 2 world wars, 2 generations of men died before women got the right to vote. It was both because women, some women enjoyed their life, and some women, even after, this, they choose to be a housewife, which is absolutely okay. It's absolutely okay. You just need to make sure that you can support this, and then what happens if, something happens to your spouse or something like that, so that you both can accommodate for this. But it's absolutely okay choice. But the thing is that women also got the right to vote because for no men they had to support themselves, and now they were exposed to what man is exposed for, that corruption. Okay, so they said no, this I don't want, this I don't want, this I don't want. So they had to get the right to vote because it was affecting their lives so much more. Before that, the husband would go through the husband. Some of them were comfortable with that. If you see the greatest business people in the world, they put things to the trust. They put things, what this person that put their assets on Ivy Carter's account, Blue Ivy's account, for to hide their own assets. Okay, people just want to hide from managing wealth. And we need to make managing wealth accessible and wealth accessible. But is also to remember that yes, for women to get the right to vote was 2 generations of men dead. Okay, and so in 2017, I was saying this is so stupid for men, women. Okay, if you're gay, you're gay. What if men, if women, if when willing consent is not just between the sexes, but in general, it's like if just the functionality of sexuality is either for procreation, which of course we need willing consent for it to be good for the children, orgasmic process, then the child has a good experience of birthing rather than traumatized by birth being alive, and then it's like it does it's just irrational for many people to have so many problems with the other sex of a sexual benefit. It doesn't make any sense. And I began to understand this by design. When I asked, okay, if for women to vote, it took 2 generations of men dead, then for willing consent, how many people have to die? Okay, I was asking this in 2017, when Uranus was conjoining Aries, in Aries, squaring Pluto, and I'm bringing this question, okay, it's popping up for Uranus on algol. It's like, hey, for people to have willing consent, how many people have to die? But the answer should be 0. And with this, I'll end.